Your dog just ate his dinner. He met you at the door with his tail swinging. He looks, right now, like the most ordinary healthy dog in the world. But a veterinary neurologist will tell you something that sounds impossible. A dog can look exactly like this and still be hiding a serious brain injury. The obvious explanation that a full bowl means a healthy brain is wrong. The real reason is far stranger than anything in his stomach. It lives in the oldest part of his body. Your dog's brain is not one organ doing one job. It is a stack of systems built at different points in history. Deep at the bottom sits a structure called the brainstem. It has been running the ancestors of dogs for roughly 500 million years. The brainstem keeps the heart beating. It keeps the lungs pulling air. It runs the appetite and the sleep cycle. It powers the machinery of walking. It even helps run the tail wag. And here's the strange part. That ancient machine can carry a dog through his entire day, eating, walking, greeting you, while the part of his brain that actually knows you is failing. Dinner is not a thought. The wag is not always a decision. Those are old programs, kept alive by the part of the brain that evolution built first and protects last. The part that recognizes your face and remembers your name is newer. It is more fragile, and it fails quietly first. If the newest part failed while the oldest part kept running, what would that even look like from the kitchen? It would look like a healthy dog. You can see this layering in the deep history of animals. A fish called the lamprey has swum the same rivers for hundreds of millions of years. Its brain is mostly brainstem. It hunts, it sleeps, it reacts to danger. All of that runs on the ancient core. Your dog's brain is the lamprey's brain, with a mansion built on top. But what happens when only the newer mansion breaks while the ancient part still runs the machine, and the mansion is the part that knows you? In 1949, 2 researchers in cats proved how much of being awake belongs to that lower floor. Their names were Giuseppe Moruzzi and Horace Magoon. They found that wakefulness itself, the bare state of being conscious, lives in the brainstem. You can damage the outer brain and still have an animal that is awake, moving, and alert. Decades earlier, a neuroscientist named Charles Sherrington had shown the same thing in an even starker form. An animal with its forebrain disconnected still stands. It still breathes. It still has reflexes. The body does not fall apart just because the thinking brain is gone. If an animal with no working forebrain can still stand and breathe, then what part of the brain is walking your dog to his bowl right now? Both. So what does a healthy-looking dog hide from the person who knows every ordinary sign, but the lower one never quits? Veterinary neurologists see the consequences every week in brain maps that all show the same fragile top floor. The outer layers, the forebrain, handle recognition, judgment, and everything a dog has ever learned. And in brain disease, the forebrain fails first. So what does that actually look like from the owner's side of the leash? A veterinary neurologist named Curtis Dewey has spent decades treating brain disease in dogs. He has documented how often an owner describes a dog that was completely normal, until one moment it was not. How is that possible? The reason the forebrain fails first is almost mundane. It is the most demanding tissue in the body. It burns enormous amounts of energy. It is built without much redundancy. The brainstem, by contrast, is armored by evolution. Overlapping circuits back up every one of its jobs, because a glitch in breathing is not survivable. A small mistake down there ends the line. Evolution cannot tolerate it, so disease lands where the newest, most exposed neighborhoods are. The brain fails in reverse order of its construction. Newest first, oldest last. What have you actually been checking all these years when you decided your dog was fine? You watch him eat. You watch him greet you. You watch him walk. Every one of those behaviors is firmware. They are the lowest, oldest programs in the machine. A dog with a damaged forebrain still has an appetite because appetite lives in the brainstem. The tail can still wag because the wag can be a motor loop triggered by your arrival. Reflex, not recognition. The greeting can run on autopilot. The dog that eats, wags, and walks beside you is running on a life support system 500 million years old. And that system has no idea who you are. Here is a test veterinary neurologists actually use. A hand moves quickly toward a healthy dog's eye. The dog blinks before the hand arrives. That blink is a forebrain act because the brain must see the threat, judge it, and respond. A dog with a damaged forebrain fails this test, but touch the same eye gently and the dog still blinks. That reflex lives in the brainstem. 2 blinks, 2 different floors of the same house. Which floor just answered you? Meanwhile, the real signs of a failing forebrain are astonishingly quiet. They do not look like a medical emergency. They look like a dog having an odd afternoon. He stands with his head in a corner and does not move. He gets lost finding his own bed in a room he has slept in for years. He walks in a slow circle, as if the furniture has moved and he is checking. He presses his head against a wall and just stands there. He does not turn when you say his name. And then he does, and you decide you imagined it. Would you have called the vet that day, or would you have walked on? Owners usually walk on. They call it slowing down. Sometimes slowing down is a mass. There is a human version of this exact illusion. In 1848, a railroad worker named Phineas Gage had an iron bar pass through his skull. It destroyed a large part of his frontal lobes. The man could walk. He could talk. His doctor, John Martin Harlow, described a man who could still hold a conversation, but who, to those who knew him, was no longer Gage. The judgment, the restraint, the person, those had been quietly erased from the top floor. A dog can be exactly that patient, walking, eating, responding to the world, with the part that makes him himself quietly gone. Is that still the dog you adopted? Ask a veterinary neurologist what they watch for, and the list is different from yours. Does he ever stand with his face in a corner? Does he circle? Has he pressed his head against a wall for no reason? Has there been a moment of blankness, a few seconds where he seemed not to be there? Has he had anything that looked like a twitch, a lip snap, a small shudder? Because the single most common first sign of a brain lesion in a dog is a seizure. A study of 97 dogs with brain tumors documented this. It was led by a veterinary neurologist named Rodney Bagley. In that study, seizures were the most common first sign, and the owners reported that in every other way, the dog was normal. Here is the part that haunts. A first seizure in a dog often looks like nothing. A twitch of the lip, a moment of absence, a strange snap at the air, once, then never again. The dinner still disappears. The tail still wags. How long has that clock been running while the tail kept wagging? This is not a story about hopelessness. It is a story about time. Many of these injuries are treatable if they are found. Some are tumors that can be removed or shrunk. Some are infections that respond to antibiotics. Some are inflammation that steroids can quiet. The difference between an owner who catches one of these early and one who does not is often a single sentence. He seems fine, but something is off. That sentence, spoken in a veterinary office, can save a dog's life. It gives a neurologist permission to look past the dinner that was eaten and the tail that wagged. It lets them examine the quiet signs for what they are. Because the hardest part of this disease is that the dog keeps lying to you, not by choice, by architecture. The brainstem serves the dinner, walks the walk, and wags the tail. And every one of those acts sends the same message, that everything is fine. The stories that go well often start with an owner who noticed something small. A dog who stood in the hallway for 10 seconds, staring at nothing. A dog who walked into the wrong room and looked confused. A dog who had one tiny twitch on a Tuesday morning. The owner waited a day. Then the owner called. What made the difference? A single phone call. There is also a quiet mercy in this architecture. The brainstem stubbornness is why a dog who is seriously ill can still take a last walk. It is why he can still hear your voice and lift his head. The same machine that hides the injury also softens the worst of it. It keeps a suffering brain warm enough for you to still reach him. Is that a mercy or a warning? It is both. The old machine protects, and the old machine conceals. So the next time your dog just ate his dinner and met you at the door with his tail swinging, and every ordinary sign says fine, do you know which part of him is speaking? It is the oldest machine in his body, 500 million years old, still doing its ancient job. The part of him that knows your name sits higher up. It is young, it is fragile, and it is waiting for you to notice. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. There's much more to discover.